Knowing the vision that God has given you is so important in your ministry leadership. But that also means for pillars, assessing that vision becomes critically important so that you can stay true to the vision God has given you. You'll learn that over time, vision changes or it leaks or circumstances pressure on it. So we need to always be assessing the vision. We oftentimes will assess the outcome of the vision, the programs or the product of the vision. But I want to teach you about assessing the vision itself. The strength of a vision is not its size or necessarily its outcomes, it's the vision itself. Here's how it's recorded in Proverbs chapter 29, verse 18. When people can't see what God is up to, they stumble over themselves. You see, in some ways, vision is a tool. It serves us for our leadership like a compass in pointing people in the right direction where God is moving all of us in ministry and where He's moving us personally. So we have got to always be assessing that compass, that vision. And I want to share with you a few areas that are important to look at on a regular basis in assessing the vision to know that you are staying true to what God is calling you to do. The first area is what I call vision clarity. Is the vision still clear? Sometimes when you get vision initially, there can be clarity around it, a lot of enthusiasm around it. And as you begin to lead that vision out, you develop programs and ministries, and all of a sudden a lot more labels and identities kind of get packaged on it, and you can lose focus of the vision itself. Every church, for example, has a vision from God. What makes that vision different from the church down the street is its uniqueness, not better or worse than the church down the street, but its uniqueness. But as a church grows and it adds many, many ministries, that vision, it can lose its focus. It's kind of like when you buy a brand new television, how clear it is versus the old television that has gotten a little fuzzy for you. And I want to encourage you to assess the clarity of your vision. Are you still true to what is most important in the vision? When I use the example of churches, many churches do the same thing because they follow the same Bible. They have discipleship groups, they have services, they worship, they help the community. But every church has kind of a uniqueness to it. 20% of it is different in how they do it. They have a unique DNA, the kind of thumbprint of God that is there. And that uniqueness is really what comes across and stands out as their distinctive vision. And when you assess the clarity of your vision, you're asking questions like, does it inspire faith still? Does it make us stand out distinctly, not better or worse, but uniquely? Does it convey the crisis we are trying to address and we are trying to solve in this ministry? This assessment is really, really essential. Because when the ministry grows, because you have wonderful vision and good stewardship, lots of other brands and identities come and you can lose that distinctive, here's what God told us to do at the very beginning. Sometimes it's very helpful to revisit the very beginning and not lose the clarity. Thank God for all of the programs and all the additional elements that have come in. But assess the clarity of your vision so that new people who come in, who weren't there at the beginning, will capture the uniqueness of the vision as clearly as somebody who has been with you from the beginning. Here's a second area, and that is you need to assess the strategy. Not just the clarity of the vision, but the actual strategic design of the vision. Is the vision advancing? Is it moving forward? Or are you pretty much now just in growth management role? Growth management role means that you've kind of built it and now you're just looking for it to get bigger versus strategy that says, no, we want to continue to see this thing grow in what God has for it in new ways. One of the ways to compare that is to think of the metaphors. A blueprint or a scroll. A scroll rolls down, a blueprint is fixed. When you have a scroll rolling down, you only get to see so much of that scroll. And until you read through that scroll, you won't see what's wound up in there. That's what ministry is supposed to be like. When we are faithful to what God's given and shown us, then He'll lead us into new areas of ministry. Oftentimes, though, we want the blueprint. We want that fixed blueprint that shows us everything so that we can control it. And then our strategies become fixed and no longer creative or innovative. There's actually a vision myth. And the vision myth is the more programs we have, the more success we will have. Strategy is about being clear on the vision and clear on the pathway to fulfill that vision. I oftentimes ask leaders, what's the least you need to do to fulfill the vision, not the most you need to do? And we need to assess how the vision strategically is continuing to change. When is that scroll unraveling and God's leading us into something new? Not a blueprint where we know everything, not a measurement of just growth and we're just getting bigger than we were 3 years ago, but there's nothing new happening. Assess the strategic design of your vision. What new initiatives have you started in the last 12 months that God is bringing to you in a fresh and innovative way? Taking the clarity of that vision, but bringing it into a society and into a community where it can be more and more effective. Ask yourself, what lessons have we learned? What new mistakes did we make that we learned from? All of these are a way of assessing the strategy of the vision, not just the outcomes, but the strategy. Here's a third way of assessing your vision that I think is very important. We talk about assessing the clarity of your vision. We talk about assessing the strategy of your vision. You also need to assess the participation in your vision. You need to assess the trends of the people who are joining you in your vision. These people are the ones that your ministry is reaching. These people are the ones that are serving within your ministry. Let me give you an example of that. You can assess the strategy of the people who are participating in your vision by looking at what is the team spirit that is here, but you can also look at, hey, what is the teamwork that is here? And you're looking at the dynamics of the team and how they're working together, so you are measuring the participation. People are what make vision a reality. And oftentimes, we only measure vision by the product and the programs. We've got to measure the participation of people. For example, in your vision and the people, are there diverse roles? If you assess the participation in the vision and you see everybody looks the same, talks the same, thinks the same, that's going to slow down our vision. Are the people generational? Do you have the distinct giftings that are there? Sometimes is there even some healthy conflict that goes on? The assessment you are making is an assessment of connection. Are the people a part of the vision? Have they engaged as they are? I travel and see ministries all over the world, and oftentimes the leader is grateful for the people and may assess the people individually, but rarely do they assess the people participation as a whole. And my encouragement to you is when you assess the vision, which you must do, you will assess, is it clear? You will assess, is the strategic design fresh and new? But then you look at the people overall and say, how have people connected to this vision and own this vision? And do we have the people as a foundation for the future of this vision? Here's a fourth way that you need to assess the vision. This is significantly important. You have to assess the sustainability of the vision. Vision is enthusiastic, it's energy, and you stand up and you convey vision to people, and you're kind of like saying, we're gonna take that mountain, and everybody cheers, and there's an enormous amount of enthusiasm around it. But then you have to ask the question, is this sustainable? Is the vision healthy? Assessing vision sustainability is like going for an annual doctor's checkup. You just want good news. You feel good, but you want a medical professional to make sure that you are living out in a way that is sustainable for the next 10 or 20 years. When you look at your vision, clarity, strategy, people, really important. But sustainability, it's really important. So you are measuring the areas of health. I want to give you a couple of areas of sustainability health that you have to look at. One is economic. The greatest majority of ministries shut down because they don't have a viable economic plan. And I don't say that disparagingly. And we all know what it means to trust God for his resource. But we have to look at how we are setting ourselves up economically and say, is this sustainable? There are seasons in vision, understood. And some seasons we need faith. And some seasons we need some wisdom. But you look at the finances and say, can we be here 10 years from now? The way we are organizing our finances, and you look at the health of that. You look at the health of the leadership pathway you've established. Will this ministry continue beyond you? Is it too dependent upon you? And that doesn't mean tomorrow you change everything, but you have to have this leadership pathway that says we are healthy because the identity of the leadership is sustainable. The finances are sustainable. You have to look and forecast to the community and culture around you. We are living in an age where laws change, society changes, culture changes. Are we positioned so that we could be present here in a sustainable way for 10 years so that even if some of the laws change, we will still be present? I know ministries in one region of the world, and all the ministries transitioned over a period of 2 years and got business visas because the business visas meant they would be able to stay there. If they were on religious visas, knowing how things were changing in society, they would all have to leave. They were assessing the sustainability of the vision. And this assessment is critically important because you are forecasting the future and you are saying, are we healthy and strong in a way that will carry us into the future? You can't just measure the present. You can glorify God and be grateful for all he has done in the present, but you've got to think about the future. And part of your vision assessment has got to be about the sustainability. Then you come to what is, I consider, the last area that you need to assess when it comes to vision, which is very important, and that is the creativity of the vision, the innovation of the vision. You have to say, does this vision require us to take risks? And one of the things you have to look at when you assess the vision is you have to assess it from a pruning perspective. There's a biblical principle in John 15 where Jesus says, you see this plant, this thriving plant, prune it. The dead branches we throw into the fire, but the living branches, we prune those back. There's actually this principle in Scripture that's very important for vision. It's the principle of death. And that is, unless a seed falls to the ground and dies, no new fruit can come. When I talk about assessing your vision from a place of innovation and creativity, one of the questions you have to ask of your vision is what needs to die? There was a time when it was good and valuable, but now it needs to die. There was a time when it met the need, but the season has shifted and we need to prune back. When we think about vision, we are always thinking about more. We are thinking about growth. We are thinking about expansion. And that is true, but the Bible teaches sometimes you have to prune and consolidate. Some things need to end, even though they've been fruitful, so that greater life can flourish. And you have to assess your vision from this perspective, which can be very difficult because you're taking something that actually is pretty good and saying, no, we're not going to do that anymore. We're now going to do something else. There was a church and they really felt they were going into a season of getting all their people into small groups. And they had a great Sunday night church service, which was different from all the other church services they held. But they said, if we're going to have these small groups flourish that will meet during the evenings, we're going to prune the Sunday night service. And at first, people were very upset, but it made space and time for the small groups to grow and flourish. They had to do an assessment of their vision from an innovation creative perspective. They had to ask the question, what needs to be pruned? What needs to die? And so when you do a vision assessment, you are looking at all these aspects of it. You're not actually looking at the programs and the growth. You can do that in other ways, which is fantastic, but you're looking at, is our vision still clear? Language changes in society. Do we need to change some of our language so we're clear and true to that 25% that makes us distinct? There are lots of evangelistic ministries out there. What makes us unique and distinct? Is the strategy developmental? Are we seeing this kind of scroll where we're trusting the Lord in his leading? You got to assess the vision from a participation perspective. All of the people as a whole, do they represent the diversity of giftings? Are we seeing the diversity of generations? Do we need to do something so that the vision has a participation of the broad spectrum that we want? We've got to measure and assess the sustainability of the vision. Are we healthy in a leadership pathway, in finances, in society, so that we will be around here 10 years from now? And you have to assess the vision from that perspective of what needs to be pruned, what needs to die. And that will cause new life to flourish. I know God has given you a great vision. And I know you are working hard to see that vision become a reality. And I commend you for that. But don't be so busy working at the vision, and don't be so busy only assessing the product of the vision that you don't assess the vision itself. Take time with your team to prayerfully consider these areas and let the Holy Spirit guide you and give you clarity as you continue to be faithful to the vision He has given you.